Hello, my name is Buddy. This is a Honda Sportrax 250EX, replacing the timing chain and oil pump chain. Already replaced the brakes for the rear, bearings, did all that. I'm a DIYer. I'm not a mechanic or anything. I just enjoy working on my own stuff. But I've not seen many videos on what we're about to do, and there's a couple of spots, especially getting to your centrifugal clutch, trying to get it off, and even trying to get off your clutch plates became a pretty good little chore. But first thing you do is pull off all your plastic. I've done that. It's super easy. What I did is I went ahead and attached a rope to my ceiling so that the four-wheeler is stable, and then took off the wheels, gave myself as much room as I possibly can to work. So the first thing you do is you go ahead and drain your oil. I went ahead and warmed up the quad beforehand. I just got it to just past warm, and then drain the oil. When I drained the oil, there was a lot of little flakes throughout it. This thing has not been changed in quite some time. It's just been ridden and abused, but after we get done, this thing's going to be pretty much brand new. So let's dig into it. After you drain the oil, you got to take off this top cover. I'm again not a mechanic, so I'm not going to tell you all the names, but you got to take off this top cover. What I did is I removed these two bolts. These are your oil lines. Once you take them off, they're pretty easy to get off. If you have a little bit of problem, use a soft end screwdriver or something soft to get up underneath it, and just kind of work it up evenly, and it pops right off. Second thing you do is taking this this cover here off. There are little tabs around here. You'll see them right in these little areas right here. You see one on the other side. I took a dead blow hammer and something soft against this, so I didn't take a chance of cracking this, and I just kept tapping it until I got myself a little opening, and then I just very gently just worked it up. It didn't take much to, for me, it didn't take much to get off. Once you get off, yep, pop it off. This is where all the magic happens. You're gonna notice there's a bearing down inside there. I'm leaving it alone, and here's your adjuster. I've already cleaned off the gasket, or most of it. I'm gonna set it aside. Now, because my goal, I've already replaced the centrifugal clutch, I've already replaced the clutch plates, but after I got in here, I realized that my timing chain right here, and then also my oil pump chain right here is loose. Let me just show you what that looked like. Look at that, it just wants to fall off. I'll give you a better shot once you get everything off. But this part right here is pretty simple. All you need to do is remove these three bolts. We got to remove this top cover, and I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so we're going to be taking off this top cover here. It's a 10 millimeters, and it's just a righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Off camera, I got myself a little spot where I actually keep like a storyboard of what I'm doing. So how I take this off in the order it comes off, I stack them up that way. Next thing we got to do is remove this bolt right down inside here. I'm going to give you a better angle here in a minute. This here was the toughest bolt. The hardest part of the job, I think, was this right here, and I'm going to show you what I did to get it off, and hopefully it works for you too. I'm gonna try to give you a better shot. I'm gonna try to give you a better shot of what I'm talking about. It's that bolt right there. There was quite a bit of oil up inside there. I went ahead and sucked it out and blew some of it out. Well, didn't blow it out, but I used a rag to get most of it all out. Now I'm going to set up the camera and show you how I got that bolt off, and hopefully it comes off just as easy this time too. Alright, so kind of tell you what I've done. It's a 24 millimeter. The tool that I went out and bought just for this was this Milwaukee Impact. This thing is stupid strong. I was using a really high quality air impact. I couldn't break it loose with it. Well, let me just show you what I did. I ended up blowing out the socket impact. So I had to go out and get another one. Now, no, that's not a 24. Now, this is the opposite threads. I think they call it left-handed instead of right-handed. So you got to go clockwise instead of counterclockwise. And I went and I got an extension. And I drop it down here like so. I use a little cheater here. This gave me a little bit more slack, a little more play while I was doing this. Make sure I'm going the right direction. There's no way to hold this. This wants to free spin, so you got to use an impact. You could try to use a cheater bar. I couldn't figure out a way to hold this to where it won't spin. I just couldn't figure out a way. If you have an idea, that's great. Like that. You'll have the nut itself, and then you'll have a washer down inside of there. Use a little pick tool. And that's what comes out. And I like to keep them in order. Again, putting it over on my storing board. What goes next? Next thing I did is I went ahead and removed, this is how your clutch works. This little arm pulls straight up. Feels like it's getting a little locked. I had a bunch of oil down on mine and it seemed like it airlocked on me. It wasn't nothing much. It just felt like it gave me a little resistance. And then just keeping the order which this comes off. There's this piece. This is next. And this bearing right here. Now something I did is removing this right here. Right now everything's under tension. What I did the first time I did this is I went ahead and removed the centrifugal clutch and the housing, and felt pretty good about that. And then what I ended up doing is this would free spin on me, and I had no resistance to get the center bolt out, nut off. The way I was able to offset that is I got a oil filter remover. So I got an oil filter remover and the strap kind, and I strapped it across this, and then I put an impact on this, on the nut, and I was able to get it off. And I felt like I was really clever doing that, because that took me about a day to figure out what am I going to do because I could not figure anything, and you don't want anything out to how to grab that or put this in a bind, and you do not want to try to put it in a bind into these gears, because you break that and then you don't have to explain what goes on there. So at this point I'm going to try to remove this and just see if that works, and hopefully it does. The size is 22 millimeter. I get my impact down there, make sure we're going the right direction. Yep, we are. Put that on top of that guy. It is on there. And just give me. Oh, look at that. I kid you not, guys. I tried to do it that way I was explaining, and I was really having a field day with it. Now I'm just going to leave it loose, because that's the main thing. I'm going to go ahead and get this out of my way, and then remove these nuts here, these bolts here that has the spring on for your clutches. I don't know if this is the proper way or not. I really don't. I'm just using a pry bar on one side. I'm giving myself positive pressure. I'm using a yellow hammer for this other side. I'm giving it a tap and pull at the same time. Obviously that's what happens when you don't have a good hand on it. But that's all there is to it. Now your centrifugal clutch pulls straight up, like so. Your centrifugal clutch, now it's ready to be removed from the housing, and all you do is pop. It literally wants to slide out. If it doesn't want to, you can use little screwdrivers to pry on it. I've already got this in place, and the reason why I'm not wanting to pop this out is, you notice how it does not spin back the other direction. There's a bearing or a gearing inside the bottom of this. I don't know the proper name, so those who want to put in comments and correct me, go for it. But it only allows it to spin one direction. It's not hard to get it back into place. It just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of finessing. And I just used a very soft hammer and just kind of tapped it until I got it to pop into place, and I just took my time with it. And I just don't want to mess with that right now, because really what I'm after are replacing the chains. Now to remove the bolts that holds in the clutches and the springs. Remember me telling you how it wants to free spin? Trying to get this nut off while that thing's free spinning like that, I mean, that is no resistance. It got to be a pain. These, I'm not broke loose or anything. They're already tight to spec. So I'm just going to go ahead and break them loose. They're not hard. I'm just going to put my hand in here and hang on to it. Alright, we got the springs off. This has the nut. The washer. Washers and I don't get along so well. My fingers don't want to grab them. Alright, now the entire clutch assembly can come off. You just pull straight up. There's no pounding, no nothing. You just pull straight up, and now allows you to get to your clutches. And this all comes apart. You just pull it apart. It gives you down in your clutches, and you're able to replace them. Now we're into the here's the timing chain, the tensioner, spring. It's one way, so you can't just push it in. You gotta remove it, and then I'll show you that here in a minute. I went ahead and bought a new tensioner. Inside here, you're going to notice a few things. Is to get that oil pump chain off, there's a pin right there, and once you do that, that gear will come straight off and you can get that chain off. But let's get those other two components off first. Something I need to mention, there's a little divot right here. So this is this gear here is made for a 250 or a 350, maybe another one too. But there's a little divot right here on the, you may not be able to notice it, but it's right there. You're supposed to line it up with this little notch right here in the casing, and it's the only little notch that kind of points out a little bit. So I'm going to try to spin this around. And get myself closer to that notch so I don't take this thing out of timing. So to remove the camshaft, you got to remove this bolt here. It holds the camshaft in place, and it should pop straight out. So let's give it a go. To be honest, I'm a little nervous of this part right here. Yeah, babe. Yeah, babe. All right, that's probably not the proper way of doing it. These are not mechanic tools, and to be honest with you, I am nervous of what I just did. I used the centrifugal clutch to help me keep it lined up, so I'm going to keep it close by. I move that cam in place as much as I can. I don't want to mess it up. How it goes in. The new chain. Now I'm going to remove, and this is the main reason why I'm doing it, is we're removing this chain here. Little thing right there. This part's trash. This is one of those things they say rinse and repeat. So you put this back on. You did not see that. Now we're going to rinse and repeat. Here's the new chain. I've already stuck it in there. I'm trying to get the camera in a way where you guys can see what I'm doing and keep it out of my way. Haha, there we go. Simple as that. Well, that's a lot different. Simple as that right there. Now I'm hoping the timing chain is just as simple to get in. You guys saw it. So this here, there's a little release here. You push pressure here and this allows you to retract this. And there's a little hole right there where you put a pin in there. I just use a little phone, you know, to take your SIM card out. A little pin, stuck it in there, and you'll see why here in just a second. There you go. Here's your tension. We should be in time. Now we just reverse the order of putting everything together. I'm going to torque these to spec. I'm going to have to look them up online. Now we're going to put our clutch plates back in. If it wants to spin, I just put my, oh shoot. There we go. My nut. A washer. And my nut. I'm not torquing it down just yet. Now for the centrifugal clutch, something I did not show you is there's a little washer that goes on there first. Then the here, and there's a notch right here on your where your clutch plates are at. Allows this thing to slide into place. You kind of wiggle it until you get the gears to line up just right. Now this is the balancing act. You got to line up these little one-way bearings there and this. And if it pops in the first time, I'm going to be just tickled as can be. Just not want to. Tell you what I did is I took this off camera, and I don't know if you saw me or not, so I'm just going to explain. I spun it until I felt like it lined up perfectly, and then I just did a real solid blow right in the very center, not very hard, and it lined up. It just popped right together. So maybe that'll help you when you guys work on yours. There we are. We're in. Washer. And my arch nemesis nut. Alright, this part nobody talks about. There's a little nipple or a little indentation inside this, on this shaft, and I'm using a hole punch, and I'm going to bend over the very top of the nut into that hole, and it locks it in. Doesn't take much. I'm barely hitting it. And the same with this one over here. It too has the same thing. Doesn't take much. Bearing. This right here, if you go to put this in, and it seemed like it doesn't want to go down in that hole very well, oil gets caught up in there and air locks on you. So it didn't do it to me this time because I've already got all the oil out of it. But if there's a little bit of grease or oil down there, it wants to airlock and then push back up. If you notice, we are all back together. Alright, get the case back on. Okay, I'm going to now look to see what it says that these need to be torqued down to, and I'm going to do that. Then put oil in it, adjust my clutch, and we should be good to go.
I don't know about you, but I don't want to. We work all the time, so I just say let's see leftovers.